It's tea time, baby, and welcome back to the Love Shack. I hope you all had a really great weekend as things are finally beginning to break. And that's the good news, friends. Finally, as of today, we are out of that intense energy shift in Mercury retrograde standstill. But there's still a little tiny bit of bad news, friends. We continue to flow through the post-shadow of this retrograde now through August 25th. So as things begin to wind down, I noticed that often over the past 2 years, I've noticed that as they wind down in the post-shadow, it often brings about more intense events. So we're still hanging on the edge of our seats, friends. Now, Spirit alerted us that there would be intense sun flares and geomagnetic storms. Do you recall? Spirit said it would be right around that 8-8 Lions portal gate opening, midpoint, right? Which is exactly what happened, as there was this mass corona hole facing towards the Earth. This, of course, always triggers more intense shifts when it comes to Mother Earth, igniting a whole series of a parade of volcanoes that just erupted over the past weekend. And also setting off that big earthquake, somewhat big earthquake in Turkey, a place that I warned just in the past week or so. I think maybe even in Friday's video that I put out, or Thursday's video, I warned Turkey. It was a small 6.1. So could there be, or is there going to be something bigger? Or are things actually going to finally start to die down a bit? We need a little break, don't you agree? I don't think Mother Earth's putting on the brakes anytime soon. Now, last week, I believe it was, that I stated that we would continue to see more outages and delays, especially around travel. Did you hear about United Airlines? They grounded all their flights for a period of time last week, causing travel nightmares for United passengers, of course. More good news, if you do have traveling coming up, that I'll give you today. Good news around travel. Wasn't such good news for those people on them United flights, and they said it was a technical issue. Yeah, sure, or a cyber attack that they don't want to tell us about. So, some of you all may remember, I got tongue twisted. Remember, about 3 years back, I spoke about the future lockdowns, and that those lockdowns would actually be not from a bug like 2020, but instead an excuse using the climate as a reason for people to be locked down. Well, friends, this is beginning to happen now and is going to spread. And it's up there in Canada. And you're going to want to hear about this today, friends, because this is quite interesting if you haven't heard about it already. We have, unfortunately, more fires all over the place, friends. It's crazy the amount of fires. Over 470 in Canada. More fires in Lahaina, Hawaii. Over 100,000 acres burning in the Grand Canyon, still burning. Turkey's on fire. And the list just gets pretty crazy when it comes to fires across the globe, friends. Will this ease up anytime soon? And let us not forget, it's also hurricane season, and it's been pretty quiet soon. But tropical depressions are now forming in both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Things are going to get real when it comes to storms and stormy season. Now, President Trump is also now posing a federal takeover of Washington, D.C., with feds now roaming the streets of Washington, D.C. How long before this spreads to other cities? Not just here in the United States. Don't think that you're safe if you're in another country. Is this going to lead perhaps, if you recall, I foresaw an attack hitting D.C., several actually. Could this be leading to that? And what about Texas? All our friends down there in Texas sending out arrest warrants for the Dems who fled the state? Could this actually lead to the arrests that I foresaw in past visions? Are they the arrests I saw in past visions? We're going to talk about that today, of course. Did you hear about the new Gates-backed butter company that's on the market? Friends, it's creepy. And you are going to want to hear about this one. I find it to be quite disturbing. So we're going to talk about that, this week's energy report, so you know what's coming up for the next week, along with much more on this episode number 179 of Tuesday's Teatime. Welcome aboard, beautiful tribe. I hope you're having a great day today and celebrating the good news. That good news is that we are finally and have finally exited Mercury's still movement. Hallelujah. And the second intense energy shift of 2025. Slightly bad news here that we are still flowing through the post-shadow of that retrograde till August 25th. But the energies are definitely lighter as of today. Can you feel it? Can you feel it, friends? I know you do. Now, with Mercury, there's an ascension happening, and I'll tell you about that in a minute too. But with Mercury being on the move once again, this is when communications are going to become more open instead of all the miscommunications that you may have witnessed and experienced in your own life. And this is where you can now really get up and speak your truth, friends. Speak your truth. Start that new project that you put on hold during the retrograde. If you did have any projects you put on hold, which would have been a good idea, you shouldn't launch new things during the retrograde. You may also notice now and in the coming weeks that you're also going to be more inspired to express yourself. Express yourself, whether it be through performance, art, or stepping up to the plate as a leader, taking charge. You're going to notice this over the next couple of weeks. This is a really good time, friends, to reflect on the past month's miscommunication issues that you may have endured and what they may actually have taught you about your own identity. Because I know you've been experiencing some of them miscommunications. This is a really powerful time, friends, a time to take the lessons from that retrograde and begin to act upon them and to do so with authority. Remember, friends, call your power back. I have a video and meditation on that. Calling your power back, and then step into that power. You may have felt quite a bit powerless for some time now, at least the past few weeks, probably the past 6 weeks or so. This is the time, friends, to tap in and change all of that for the better. Call your power back. Step into your power. Because these energies, friends, are flowing in. And the energies that are continuing to flow in are going to bring forward a lot more public figures, you're going to notice, making very bold statements, kind of like we just saw yesterday on the 11th with President Trump making strong statements about D.C., right? That's just the beginning. That's on the 11th. Wait until things really start to kick in tomorrow. He made very strong statements. And it's just the start of public figures stepping back up into the spotlight with some very strong statements and very strong intentions and maybe even some strong agendas too. So we got to watch and we got to listen very, very closely. And I would expect in the coming week that we are going to gain more clarity and truth when it comes to misinformation, whether it be, fake news, false news, because it's going to be a lot of misinformation and news reports, especially around the media. And even misinformation around celebrities, culture, it rolls over children and education. So this is a time where we're also going to see this flow of whistleblowers stepping up to the mic. Now, and I'd say now till the end of September. And maybe even more in October. But definitely kicking off, I'd say the next 6 to 8 weeks. Whistleblowers stepping up to the mic. Some of them are stepping up to the mic, blowing the whistle on Trump himself. That'll be interesting. Now, another observation that I made in the past, probably over the past decade, is that during these intense energy shifts, and even more so when we begin to come out of them as we are right now, it often brings about a lot of outbreaks, diseases, or illnesses. This is really a time when doctors' offices and hospitals and even dental care and caregivers can become extremely overwhelmed. And I believe that this is likely due to all the emotions that are connected to these cycles. They bring out your emotions. That's what retrograde certainly is notorious for. It brings up those emotions, and failure to flow through those emotions are bound to eventually bring up some type of issue or bring out some type of issue, outbreak or a health issue or what have you. So friends, make sure you flow through these emotions, flow through them, and keep that immune system completely up to par. Really important. Now, I'm recording this on the 11th, but you're seeing it on the 12th. So today, on August 12th, when you are viewing this, we have Venus conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. more water energy flowing in, friends. More water energy to help you and heighten your intuition and also bring about more water events. But these two flowing together is actually a blessing, they say in astrology, because these are the planets can actually bring with them a lot of fortune, harmony, and lots of blessings. So together in the sign of Cancer, Cancer is being a sign of emotional security, family, and our ancestral roots. So it creates basically this fountain of love, gratitude, and this deep, heartfelt, soulful generosity. And you're going to see that coming out starting today and over the next few weeks. You may even begin to see this on the public stage or on the global stage. You may also notice that you are suddenly becoming overwhelmed with these little tsunami waves of love, nostalgia, gratitude, all of a sudden just overwhelmed with waves of gratitude. It's a wonderful thing. You may also notice this sudden desire all of a sudden that you want to beautify your home or your office or even fix the garage and make it look prettier. Not that garages are prettier, but you get the point. And a desire to, it's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. And it's the evening. It's hot in here that quick. You may decide not only to beautify your home, you might decide to host a barbecue or maybe a little get-together at the home. You may also feel this deep pull to connect or reconcile with family or loved ones or friends. It's really a time of emotional healing. The emotional healing of your inner child. We all got that inner child, so run with it, friends. And we're likely going to be hearing a lot in the realm of celebrity announcements as far as pregnancies, engagements, weddings, perhaps couples getting back together or reconciling. And again, you can see this in your own life as well. Around your friends, all of a sudden getting a wedding invitation in the mail or an engagement party in the mail, invitation of some sort. And we're also likely, we're likely going to see spikes in immigration in a lot of countries. Not like there's not enough already. So humanitarian policies are going to come to the forefront. It's going to be really, really interesting. Powerful too. Definitely an alignment, again, that can bring out a lot of joy and such. A little thing there. So, Ascension, friends. Have you been having a really hard time sleeping over the past 4 to 6 days? Part of this is that beautiful full moon energy that we just flowed through on the 9th. And the majority of this is because the Earth is going through this ascension process. The Schumann resonance has been spiking like crazy. And if you are ascending to the new Earth, then you are definitely feeling this, friends. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, depressed, anxious, perhaps you have some ringing in your ears, or having problems sleeping, or even if you're oversleeping because your body really needs it, these are the signs, friends, that you are shifting with the new Earth. A wonderful thing. And this ascension process, it's not going to be smooth and it's not going to be easy. And it can totally feel very, very chaotic at times. So know that the louder the chaos that's happening around you, the closer that you actually are to this new beginning. Or the closer you are to breaking through to that new beginning. So this is a good sign. This is a good sign that you are totally aligning with your highest good. It might not feel so good, but that's part of the ascension. And I have a video, the seven stages of ascension. I'll have to remember and put a link up above it or down below in the description. So instead of feeling chaotic, overwhelmed, or feeling as if you're not on the right path, this is all a sign that you are exactly where you need to be, friends. Exactly where you need to be. That you are literally shifting with and along the new Earth path. And not everybody's going to shift. Not everybody's heading towards that new Earth path, as you know. It's an individual thing. It's a personal and individual thing. And these signs, these are all signs that you are adjusting to the frequency to match the new Earth frequency. Changes in frequency can affect us, of course, in all the ways I just described. The Earth is going through this ascension process as well. as us ourselves. So all the chaos that you are seeing and that we are seeing in the world is all just signs that the earth is shedding all the old layers, especially in this 9 year of endings, and allowing the new to start flowing in once again. This also happens on an individual level. Rather than just feeling depressed, you're just going to go through this transitional period. So just know that that's what's happening. Instead of being depressed, just know that it's a transitional period rather than feeling overwhelmed. Just know that there's a whole new beginning right around the corner for you. Whole new beginning. And again, remember that 9 powerful, 9 universal year of endings. This is a time to shed the layers. Kind of like an onion, right? Shed the layers of the onion so that we can get to the core of that onion. The core of that onion, that is where all the truth is, the knowledge, the wisdom, everything is contained within the core of that onion. And you are just peeling away those layers one at a time. Hey, beautiful friends, I want to welcome you and take a moment to welcome you back to the channel. If you're new here and you're new to this channel, my name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, spiritual medium for over 3 decades, bringing you predictions, prophecy, and truth. And if you're new here and you want that accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with our tribe, be sure to hit that subscribe, the bell, and all so you get notifications. It also helps to hit that thumbs up. It helps this channel, but it will also help if you like this kind of content, not just from me, but other channels and other psychics or mediums. Hit the thumbs up. It'll make more of that stuff show up on your feed. That's how it happens. That's how the algorithms work. Also down below, you'll find the link to my newsletter, all my social media platforms, and a big thank you to all those that support this channel, including the members of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community. I couldn't do this without you. I thank you with infinite loving gratitude. I am super duper grateful to all of you. Also, a couple people I want to thank for their generous PayPal donations. Sandra G, which I believe is in New York, who's always so generous. Also, I have Nicole L in California, who sent me a generous PayPal the other day, along with Author D. I don't know where you're at, Author. You didn't tell me. But thank you. I really appreciate you. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Shall we move on to episode 179 of Teatime, baby? Spirit alerted us that there was going to be some intense sun flares and geomagnetic storms right around that 88 Lions Gate portal, which is exactly what happened, friends, as there was this mass coronal hole facing directly towards the Earth. This, of course, triggers more intense events and big, intense shifts when it comes to Mother Earth and the plates. Igniting, and what this did is ignited a whole parade of new volcanic eruptions, including Mount Etna, by the way. Not a big one, but still, she still erupted. Now, you'll also remember last week, I alerted you all that we would see more quakes around that August 9th full moon. One of the places I warned was Turkey. And Turkey was just hit. I don't know if it was Sunday or Saturday, I forget which day, but a 6.1 quake. Guatemala is still shaking. And now, Mexico, friends. Mexico had 3 pretty good hits off the coast, one of them. Another place that I warned. And that was just in the past day or two with Mexico and Turkey. They're not in the red, the ones in Mexico, but the one in Turkey is as far as in the red on the map. And the good news here, friends, is that the amount of quakes, 4.5 or higher, over the past 7-day window, has actually significantly diminished. And if you recall, a few weeks ago, the number was staggering. It was over 500. Over 500, like 2 weeks ago. And as of Monday, today, the number was just below 200. I think it was 197, 194. So it's reduced by more than 50%. Although, close to 200 is still a really high uptick from the norm. And the volcanoes now letting us know that there's something much bigger developing beneath the surface of our dear, beautiful Mother Earth. It's interesting to observe these events, isn't it? To sit back and watch the world stage play out. It's quite a show. Now, solar activity, according to the spirits, is going to continue as solar winds right now are continuing to pound upon our beautiful Earth. We just had a G2 geomagnetic storm. I don't know if there were northern lights anywhere. I didn't check into that. Remember, Spirit said we'll see it like last year, where we'll see it in places that we haven't seen it before, and that'll probably be October, November. And I feel there's something much, much bigger that's going to arrive soon, as far as geomagnetic storms are concerned. Now, the sun flares, even though some resist this connection, of course, are certainly responsible for the parade of eruptions in the 6.1 that hit Turkey and the quakes outside of Mexico. All this happened in Guatemala right after these sun flares started pounding upon the earth. And I still feel strongly that Mexico is going to experience a quite large quake. Something that causes some pretty significant damage. And remember, I also talked about Mexico City. This wasn't close to Mexico City, it was more the south. Now the swarm of quakes around Russia, still happening, friends. And the awakening of that sleeping giant volcano there in Russia. Remember, Spirit spoke of larger quakes occurring in that same area. We haven't seen that yet. So it's definitely not finished. And not finished at all. And this whole thing with that area of the globe, especially Russia, and all this activity is going to last through the remainder of 2025, igniting something huge in late October into November. November is going to be a huge month of events, friends. World events, major weather events, earth events, very intense window of time is upon us when we hit November and kicking us right out of 2025 as a whole. Remember, in my forecast for the year, I picked the 3 most intense months. March, which it was. July certainly was in the beginning of August. And then November. So we're still got some intense stuff ahead of us. Really intense. And I feel something much larger than the recent Earth event is going to hit. What happened recently in Indonesia with their eruptions and quakes. I feel something really big is going to hit Indonesia area. And then also China, I feel, is going to have at least 2, perhaps likely 3, because things do come in 3s. Very significant, powerful quakes causing damage, rescues, and losses, unfortunately. And I feel this is coming in the next month or so. And things are certainly still flaring up around that ring of fire, friends. I pointed to the Mediterranean in the past, if you recall, and that's right next to the Santorini, say that right, volcanic area. A big, big movement is soon going to take place in that area. So beware, friends, in that area. And I also feel that a very large quake is going to hit Venezuela. So if we have any tribe members in Venezuela, beware. Don't be scared, be prepared. And there has been over 11,000 earthquakes in all. This includes little ones. 11,000 in the past 30 days. That sounds like an alarming number. And that's all magnitudes, right? All magnitudes, little ones too. Now, Manila, when I was looking at the map today, Manila jumped out at me and came to my mind very strongly. So I feel that country of Manila is going to endure a significant earth event, perhaps being hit by these tsunamis that are coming. Keep in mind, tsunamis are coming, friends, and they're going to be in record size. And I feel that we will see a die-down period first with earthquake activity, likely by the time we get into September, mid to late September into early October, before it all flares back up again, big time. I feel like that flare-up is going to last through the rest of the year and take us right into 2026. And not only that, when we get into late October and November, we're also going to see major storms, global flooding, and I expect to see a lot of late-coming storms. Very late coming. So, like November would be late. I forget when hurricane season ends, I think October, but November. I had this vision first as if I was in the sky looking down. If I'm looking down on the clouds like you were in an airplane and you see the clouds below you. And I was looking down on what clearly appeared to me to be a hurricane. That's what it looked like. Except it was much different. Because then I glided below the clouds, as if I was flying below the clouds. And I saw major blizzard-like conditions, high winds, whiteout snow. And it felt really a bit creepy to me, to be honest. And no one And nothing, as far as people were concerned, I saw nothing, no activity whatsoever. Everyone was like locked down, hiding. I believe this is somewhere in the United States. And this is a really serious and very strange storm is what it felt to me. And I also felt that China is going to see similar strange storm events. Part of this massive storm that I see hitting China is going to hit Japan. This is winter stuff, friends. This is obviously a winter vision. So this could actually be early 2026. A storm like this, friends, is bound to cause long-term outages. So remember, don't be scared. Be prepared. Make sure you have backup, especially in the winter when it's cold and you need to make sure you got some kind of heat and a way to cook. Now, we may be out of the energy shift, but we certainly are not out of the woods completely. And we won't be actually for several years, unfortunately. But when it comes to major weather events and earth events, now through 2029, really intense. This is just going to increase more and more between now and that time, 2029. And as I stated in the past, it's going to get to a point where they make changes in the way they actually rate and grade these events. Like the earthquake, the way they grade earthquakes, 4.0 and such, they're going to change that. They're going to change the way they grade tornadoes, hurricanes, cyclones, because they're going to get so different and so intense and interesting that they're going to have to change the whole thing. And this goes along with the changes that are just happening in our whole system flowing towards that new Earth. Last week and several weeks prior, I stated that we would continue to see outages and delays, especially around travel, of course, as Mercury rules over travel and communications. And this is why, friends, it's a good idea to always plan any kind of travel outside of those direct retrogrades, or otherwise just expect delays, cancellations, and other things to block your travels. Now, over the past week, United Airlines grounded all their flights for a pretty good period of time last week, causing literally a travel nightmare for United passengers. I can only imagine, because I remember I was in Key West, Florida with my first partner, and American Airlines went on strike. And then we couldn't find a place to stay because Key West, everything's booked. Yeah, I know how you feel, United Airlines passengers. And I'm sure there were many other outages over the past week, whether they be cell phone outages, internet outages, power outages, and other cancellations, whether it be with aeroplanes or trains. No doubt, I didn't have time to go look deeply into the outages over the past week. But other than that, knowing about United Airlines grounding all flights, it was still happening, friends. But we're out of that now. Personally, I don't care for United Airlines anyway. I fly American. But we're out of that, so it shouldn't be so bad now when it comes to travel. We're still in that post-shadow, so there still can be some delays. But the good news now, friends, is, you can set off on your travels with little to no delays at all, as we are now slowly flowing out of the post-shadow of Mercury. So it's not so intense, not so worrisome for folks when it comes to travel. Now, communications, they're also going to open up. And outages from Mercury's influence are going to lighten up a whole lot to the point of not affecting things at all. Although I do feel that there are going to be outages moving forward, but not necessarily from a Mercury influence. This is going to be more caused from weather. And more than anything, cyber attacks come to me. I feel like a lot of cyber attacks are coming. And it's going to get pretty serious and intense when it comes to the cyber attack thing happening. Spirit's also showing me now the Pentagon. There's some kind of cyber attacks heading towards the Pentagon too. So that should be interesting. Some of y'all may remember about 3 years ago, I spoke about future lockdowns. It might have even been in 2020. And that those lockdowns in the future would not be caused from a bug like happened in 2020. But instead, they would use the excuse, using the climate as a reason to keep people locked down. Well, now, not always by force either. It might be many people are just going to submit to it, as they submitted back in 2020. Well, friends, this is beginning to happen. Now, and it's beginning to spread. And I believe it's going to keep spreading, but it's already spreading. And they're using the shift of the climate, of course, as an excuse to not just lock people down. No, not that. Instead, they're going to start locking down areas. That's the first start of it. Keeping you in, like the smart cities. Think about it. Keeping you in certain areas. This is the start. This is the start. Locking down areas completely and eventually locking up people who do not comply. They'll do that too. They did it in 2020, especially in Australia. They locked up a lot of people there. Excuse me. And it may sound crazy to some, and you can look up the maps for yourself, friends. The globalists have this clear agenda to lock off parts of the world completely and forbid all of us from going into those areas. Their map shows almost the entire area, Arizona, where I'm at, all the way up to Canada, marked as private red zones. Private red zones. That means that you are not permitted to enter, period. And you will go to jail. That's their plan. And they might not even put you in jail. They might take you out completely, make you disappear. Oh, he wandered in there and he shouldn't have and disappeared. Now, again, they're going to use the climate as their excuse to do so. And sadly, friends, in parts of Canada, that's what they are witnessing right now. And this is a bit cray-cray. I mean, some people it could make sense, sure. But you got to look deeper into this. You got to go deeper into that rabbit hole, friends. Give a listen to one of the globalist puppets right here.
We're here today because the experts have advised, and we agree, that more precautionary steps are required. We have to stay in front of this. We can take steps while we are in the middle of trying to fight fires, or we can be proactive and try to prevent them. And we have chosen to be proactive and try to prevent fires. So based on the recommendations of Scott Tingley and his team, they recommended, and we agree with the following. Effective 4 p.m. today, we're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods. We are restricting travel and activities that really aren't necessary for most of us. Hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted. Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed, but only in official campgrounds. The fine for violating any of these bans is the same as the fine for the ban on burning, $25,000.
Wowzers, friends, a $25,000 fine if you decide you want to enjoy the great outdoors, as God has meant for all of us to do. But you're not allowed there. And by the time they are allowed, it'll be too damn cold and they ain't going to want to go out. That's how it is up there in the northern parts. So, if you want to go do a little fishing, perhaps take a little hike through the forest or the mountains, you will be detained and you will be fined up there in Canada. I saw this video, I don't know how true it was, of this person. They showed the ticket, actually, the fine. And they were fined $28,000. Not 25, but 28. Friends, that's just ridiculous. Barely anybody can afford to buy food, let alone pay a $25,000 fine. And you know what? That's exactly why they set it so high. Because they know you can't pay it. And think it'll work. And then if you don't pay it, you'll get locked up. I said, all our Canadian friends out there, please come together right now and rush into the forest together. Do it. Dress up like Yogi the Bear and just rush into the forest together. Take your fishing pole, put on your hiking boots, and put the big middle finger up to your government. And if you all do it together, what are they going to stop all of you? I doubt it. They'll try, of course. And it's interesting how they also allow some of the campgrounds to remain in business. Out here in Sedona, especially here in the canyon where I am, if there's major fire danger, and I saw it once here, they close off the whole entire canyon, except for people that live here where I am, including the campgrounds. They close down the campgrounds. Campground fires are often the biggest common cause of wildfires, besides, of course, their secret, technology, deep state technology, of course, the Mountain Dew. This is how the globalists accomplish and push towards their agenda. Use technology, some natural events as well, as a way to strike fear into people so that they bow to the masters and submit to their new laws and legislation that is going to permanently ban us from specific areas across the globe. Next, they're going to use volcanoes and volcanic activity as an excuse that, oh, you can't go near there. They'll probably block off Yellowstone Park eventually. Not because it's dangerous, just because they can. But, and they'll also start making people relocate. No, you need to move, you need to relocate, and you need to do it at your own expense. Crazy times indeed, friends. Step into the power, and we will. People will rise up. This is all part of the process. All part of the process. The globalists will not succeed in their missions. They'll begin to succeed, but they will be overall failures. Speaking of fires and wildfires, there's more fires in Lahaina, sadly. Prayers to those folks there. And even more sadly, more than 100,000 acres is continuing to burn in the Grand Canyon. And it continues, as I said, out of control fires in the Grand Canyon. I find it kind of interesting, friends, that the Grand Canyon, where 75%, did you know 75, it might even be more than that, of the Grand Canyon is already completely off limits to all people, all of us. It's guarded, friends. It's watched very, very closely by the Black Ops underground government. I kid you not. The deep staters, perhaps. And if you go anywhere near the boundaries, these people show up out of nowhere, friends, with high-powered rifles, ready and willing to shoot if you disobey their orders to turn back. So that's off limits. So they're already closing it down. It's been off limits for a long time, but I'm just saying. The Grand Canyon is so well protected and guarded. And most folks have really absolutely no idea it is. I didn't until I actually moved out here and found that all out. But why exactly? I know why. Do you know why? And did they, set it ablaze on purpose? Maybe. And there's definitely something that feels a little shady around these wildfires in the Grand Canyon. And the fact that they protect the whole Grand Canyon, don't let anybody in there. So what are they going to say? Lightning started the fires? Or was it their technology? Of course, there's likely major mineral and gold deposits all throughout the Grand Canyon. They'd love to dig all that up. Maybe they already are and we don't see it on the surface. But I feel that this could also be where you ever hear the lost city of gold? Oh, excuse me. Perhaps that was in the Grand Canyon or is in the Grand Canyon. There's something there. You know about the Kincaid and what he found in the caves with all the ancient artifacts that was covered up by the Smithsonian? I know there's ancient underground cities there. Probably technology too. And it's way off limits to all of us and has been for a long time. What's going to be off limits next, friends? The beach? The ocean? I mean, I know that, I think it's in Japan, the fishermen are having problems or they're going to have problems. Now back to the fires, Turkey's on fire. And the list just gets crazy, friends, when it comes to fires across the globe. Canada is now reporting its second worst wildfire season. And the season's not over yet. It's just starting. So I'm going to say that they're going to break that record. They'll go to number one this year. And currently they have over 470 fires sweeping across Canada. This is so sad for the wildlife, friends. It breaks me heart. It breaks me heart for the wildlife. Now, looking at the fire map, check out this fire map. There are sure a heck of a lot of fires in this part of the world. And if you peer at the map, it looks like on that map, there's a heck of a lot more happening in the United States and Canada. A whole lot more. But, not much talk about it at all, huh? Except for those that are happening in Grand Canyon and the major fires in Colorado. It's happening. And even around London, there's wildfire. And if you remember, I saw a fire in London. Except I felt that it was the city itself, like a historic structure burning. A lot of them. Now, I feel California's about to get hit again. And it does not feel natural to me. So warning to our friends in California, it doesn't feel natural. It feels very close to the coast. Probably high winds again they'll use. I'm not sure where, though. I just get a strong feeling along California. And remember, I talked about fires around Phoenix, Arizona as well. And some I see closing in on Las Vegas. So I say, please, divine creator, send us some rain to all these areas of fire, heavy, heavy rain to extinguish it all. Hallelujah. Praise the divine, praise the rain spirits. Now, speaking of rain spirits, hurricane season and tropical depressions are now forming in both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Have you seen? One of them is called Erin. And I would refer you back to my last weather prediction video for more details on the hurricane names I went through and the numerology around their names. Excuse me again. And cyclone predictions, it's all in that video. But the first depression in the Atlantic, Erin, is likely to form into something very, very significant. I have no doubt. And I also have this feeling, I had this feeling earlier today, it swept over me out of nowhere, that the Carolinas are going to be hit really hard by a hurricane or a serious tropical system, with even reported tornadoes. Mostly North Carolina, like they haven't dealt with enough already. So again, be prepared, friends. And if there's a storm heading your way, remember to bunker down. President Trump is now opposing a federal takeover of Washington, D.C., friends, activating the National Guard and federalizing the D.C. Police Department. How long, friends, before this spreads to other cities, not just here in the United States, but globally? Because we all know it's going to eventually. And I feel that martial law, remember, I saw martial law in the past, and there's one of those illuminated cards that show martial law in the United States. Starting in D.C., I should have pulled that card to show it to you, darn. If I remember to, I'll post it here. But there's one of those cards for that. And we all know that martial law is going to come, and I'd be willing to bet that it's going to happen during this current administration in the United States. So, friends, is this D.C. takeover a good thing? What do you think? Recently, I talked a lot about Washington, D.C., and made several predictions revolved around it. Around the White House, the Capitol building, and a feeling of seeing D.C. in chaos, if you recall. Could this prevent this? Could this actually prevent it? Trump watch my video and maybe he's trying to prevent it? I doubt it. I doubt that. Or is this literally pushing in the direction or perhaps some type of agenda? Especially with the deep staters. They have many agendas, friends, and I saw some type of attack happening in D.C. I saw fires. I saw so many things for D.C., so hold it in the light. Now, like many cities in America, sadly, there's just way too much crime. Way too much crime. There's takeovers from these gangs and these cartel-driven forces, and it's something that there's definitely something needs to be done about it to weed out all these, leaders and criminals, especially the cartel leaders, or the ones that they send here to lead, should I say. And I just don't know, if this is actually the right way to go about it. Starting in D.C., all of a sudden, too. You notice this is all of a sudden? This just seems so random and so sudden. So I don't know. I want to let us all know what you think in the comments down below. I mean, something needs to be done, but is this, crossing the line? Now, I suddenly had this vision of 3 bolts of lightning coming down. One of these bolts of lightning hits the National Monument, that pagan obelisk. The other one hits the Capitol building. And then the other strike of lightning I see hits directly, it looks almost like the White House lawn, directly in front of the White House. Now, I take this more as being something symbolic more than anything. I don't know what you think. I feel like it's more symbolic. And the good Lord perhaps maybe striking his wrath up upon D.C. I don't know. What do you all think it means? Remember, I think it was the video I just posted. Oh, no, it's a video you haven't seen yet. Okay, you haven't seen it yet. My Subscribe Star people have seen it. I did a video where I used the scrying mirror here to look into the future. I saw some specific things on this subject. So if you want to know what those predictions are, I'm not going to tell you now. You're going to have to watch the video, and it's going to premiere on Friday, just so you know. Now, a few years ago, I made a prediction around seeing politicians walking out, if you remember. I kind of refer to it more like the Senate or the parliament members walking out, in protest. Now look at the drama that is playing out in Texas with the Dems who fled the state refusing to do their jobs. The job that Americans voted them to do. All because of a map, apparently. And now, Newsom, of course, is bashing Texas governor and proposing to do the same thing in California. Spirit says that's not going to do anything. It's not going to help. It's not going to help their agenda. And remember what I said in the past about states breaking away from the Union? Remember I saw a star falling off the American flag a few years back? And then I talked about telling you that the country was going to be separated into different unions in the future, part of the agenda. But actually works out to be a good thing, is what Spirit says. This sounds like a strong push, friends, a strong start, actually, to pushing this future agenda. And Texas has sent out arrest warrants for those who have fled. So could this lead to the arrests I foresaw in the past, remember? Well, it's likely definitely going to lead to some arrests of a few. But it ain't going to do much. It's not going to have much of an impact, says the spirits. It will actually backfire on them more than anything. And I did predict also a few years ago that we would see major arrests. And, just recently I actually stated the same thing. We're going to see these major arrests, especially around high-profile folks like celebrities, politicians, judges, senators, or what have you, and so on. So, friends, hold on tight. This train's about to head downhill. I'm sure by now you are all aware of Netanyahu's takeover of the Gaza. Complete takeover. Does that surprise you at all, friends? It shouldn't surprise you at all. That was their goal all along. Remember the oil that's there? And the oil off the shores there? Remember the whole build that place better? Build back better, right? Build back better for who? The Zionists? Of course. Of course it is. Now, you saw also what just happened, where Israel blew up literally a media tent for media people, Al Jazeera media journalists. I think there were a total of 7 of them, totally unalived. Talk about suppressing the truth from getting out. Totally. Now, if you go back to the prophecies, including the prophecies of, what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name. Darn. He wrote about the 3 big conflicts, predicted all 3 of them in a row, and what would cause them. And if you know what he said about, World War III, he said that would be between the Zionists and the Islam nation, and that they would destroy each other. And that would be, World War III. Well, friends, it started. I told you that a long time ago. It's been going on for a while. Big time. And they're shutting down the truth on all of it, including shutting down the protests that are happening there. And are you familiar with the red heifer sacrifice that's now been scheduled? I forget when it's been scheduled for. They did a practice run. Remember I talked about that about a month or so ago? And the only reason it turned into a practice run is because they discovered a little white hair on one of the heifers. So they couldn't do it. It has to be purely red, no flaws. And the prophecy of why they're doing this, right? They're doing this so that they can rebuild the temple. Except there's something on that there right now. And it's not, you know the story. And I told you they're going to destroy that, of course. They're going to destroy that on purpose so that they can rebuild the temple. So we have to watch closely for that red heifer sacrifice, because that's heading right into apocalyptic times for the Middle East. Not necessarily for the whole world, but definitely for the Middle East. Crazy things are happening over there. Even the Bible and all the prophecies, it all points to that area of the globe. That's why people say, the anti-Jesus. People are saying it's Trump, which is interesting. The whole 88 connection to him? If you don't, look it up. The whole 88 connection to Trump. But I saw somebody said, think about it. If you put Trump and Pence together, you got the trumpets blowing, right? Trumpets. Just saying. Someone put this theory out there. I'm not saying this is my theory. I just heard this. So don't put this on me. And then also it says in the Bible that the anti-Jesus would be wounded in the head and survive. And we know what happened in July of last year to Trump. Now, he is not the anti-Jesus. I can tell you that right now. Because if you know the prophecy, the anti-Jesus does not, the United States isn't even mentioned in the Bible. It didn't exist, unless it's mentioned, of course, as the modern day Babylon, which it definitely is. No, the anti-Jesus would be likely someone that comes from the Islam nation. And I told you all along, I felt that they were hiding in Turkey and between Turkey and Iran for a while. And Spirit did tell us that this person would come out in 2025. So I haven't really been watching. Have you? Has this person come forward yet? I mean, 2025, we got plenty of time left still. So hold on tight, friends. Watch Israel very close. Watch the Middle East very, very closely. For a while now, I've been telling you about water, and even going back a few years ago, I talked about water wars and the fight over water. And just this year, recently, a couple months ago, I talked about toxic waters. Waters being affected, beaches being shut down. We're seeing this happen on a large scale. But today, this morning, I had this feeling that there was a big problem with the waters in New York City. And I felt toxic waters. Toxic waters, New York City water problem. Big time. And I don't feel like just with their water that comes out of their faucets, but I feel like the water is surrounding New York. Like something's coming in the waters of New York. Almost feels toxic, almost like a radiation toxic, affecting the waters. And then speaking in New York, I see a lot of water around Staten Island. That could be where the water problems begin. But when I say I see a lot of water there, it feels to me like there's big floods and storms hitting that area of the globe, which would make sense. Again, a lot of people here don't realize that some of my predictions or the visions I have are 2 to 3 years out. So you always got to be aware of that. Something else to be aware of is the meeting that's coming up between President Trump and Putin. Now supposedly in Alaska. I thought that was an interesting place for them to meet. Because I thought it was supposed to be in the Middle East. But I guess they don't feel safe there. One of them don't feel safe there. And I don't know how Putin feels safe going to Alaska. I mean, they want him out of there completely. And it might not be Trump that wants him out of there, but we know the deep staters don't want Russia. They want this conflict to continue. They want it big time. Here's the good news, friends. In the realm of energy, especially, we're in that 8 vibration this month. Infinite possibilities. Everything and anything is possible, including peace. And as I said a long time ago, many years when this conflict ignited between Russia and the Ukraine, I told you that Russia would come out of it with new land and new territory. And I believe that's what Trump's going there to propose. And of course, they're going to blow this all out of proportion and call Trump a Putin lover or what have you. And really, the bottom line here is this is all about money. It's all about money, and it's really all about American money. Russia can't really survive without the American money. The dollar might be falling, but it's still in charge. So yeah, I do feel like they're going to make an agreement. And even in the astrology, it shows that, this is a time where people can have the miscommunications come into good communications, right? What's the date are they doing this? I forget the date. Sometime this month, though, all right? And you don't have to tell me the date in the comments. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to be paying attention because I'll be having people here. I got a whole crowd coming to the house, and I'll be unplugged and on sabbatical for a few weeks. Overall, Zelensky ain't going to go for this. That's one of the things I saw in the mirror, come to think of it. The mirror, the Black Mirror scrying predictions that you'll see on Friday. I saw that. Come to think of it, I saw them agreeing, and then Spirit showed me like a vision of Zelensky in the back kind of pouting, being unhappy and sad. And not that he's there. I don't think he's going to be there for the meeting. But do you really think Zelensky's going to back down? Of course he's not. Do you know how much corruption is in that country? Oh, every country, but especially that country. I mean, they still have, those leftovers from the Germany World War II. You know which ones, with the big N, all throughout that country. So, interesting. But let's hold peace in the light. Let's hold peace in the light because it needs to happen. And I did say in the beginning of this year that I felt that we would see that conflict between Russia and Ukraine wind down because it is a 9-year of endings death of cycles. Now, when it comes to Netanyahu, that man ain't ever going to back down until he's out of there. Not going to happen. That man is just on a mission, and he gives me some really, really creepy bad vibes. Did you see that a federal judge, just today I got that message, denied the DOJ's bid to unseal the Maxwell documents? I bet you that judge is a total part of that web of darkness. No doubt, especially means the judge claims that those documents won't reveal anything new. Well, Judge, Your Honor, if you claim that these aren't going to reveal anything new, then why the heck not just release them? Shut the people up. But you're not going to do that because there's a lot of stuff in there, including stuff that would also not make the president look very good either. Because if you think he's innocent, not a part of it, they're all part of it. I've been telling you this, folks, forever. It's all one big old web of darkness. They're all weaved into it one way or another. Not necessarily in the same way. One may be involved one way and one may be involved another way. But there's no doubt that, they were buddies. They were buddies. Epstein probably helped Trump a lot with money, hiding money. Spirit just said, especially with the casinos in Atlantic City. So I don't know what they did with that. Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. Well, regardless, it all feels really shady to me. And as I've told you all along, the truth will come out. The truth is going to come out about all of this, all of it, eventually. And I feel like Maxwell is going to get off light somehow or another. She won't be pardoned or anything, but I feel like she's going to get off light. This story ain't going to go away. There's more whistleblowers coming forward, friends. Not only whistleblowers about the whole case, but whistleblowers about all those that are involved. And they're going to try to shut it down, and they're not going to be successful. The truth must come because the truth must set us all free. It's part of the ascension and the shift into the new earth. Now, remember, I also talked about leaders falling and leaders dropping one after another, and this already happened. Well, part of it was the Colombian presidential candidate, Miguel Uribe, was, pow-powed, hit in the head. I don't know how long ago, a month or so ago, maybe. Well, sadly, the man just passed away. And he was only 39 years old after that pow-pow to the head. And that was during one of his campaign speeches. Nothing like taking out those. And did you see who was it that the administration just put out a $50 million reward on that guy? Who is he, from Venezuela maybe? I can't remember his name. But you all know who I'm talking about. $50 million. Wow, now we're putting ransoms on people's heads, leaders and ex-leaders' heads. I've never seen that. But I mean, there's no doubt that guy is totally weaved into the cartel. Totally weaved into the corruption of his country. It's interesting how bad the United States wants him, though. What's he know about the United States? What else does that man know that they want him so bad? And they want him alive or unalive. It don't matter. Interesting times, isn't it, friends? A lot more leaders are going to drop. A lot more changes in power are coming. A lot of them are going to be shocking and sudden. So hold on tight, friends. As if things couldn't get any more creepier when it comes to Gates and friends. With their fake meat and taking over the farms, taking over the farmland. Now they're taking over butter, friends. I can't believe it's not butter. Yeah, it's butter. It's not butter. Yeah, the Gates is backing up this new butter that's now on the market, friends. Now being sold to restaurants and bakeries. And it's creepy. It's creepier than you would imagine. So you're going to want to hear about it. So give a listen.
Looks, smells, and tastes like the butter we're all familiar with, but without the farmland, fertilizers, or emissions tied to that typical process. And this butter breakthrough, it's happening right here in Batavia. In the middle of an industrial park in a suburb west of Chicago, something unprecedented is happening. So you're using this gas right now to cook your food. And
And we're proposing that we would like to first make your food with that gas.
The company is called Savor, and you better believe it. Their pioneering tech uses carbon and hydrogen to make the stick of butter you see on this plate. Their team's here in Batavia, Illinois, and their home lab base in San Jose, California, backed by Bill Gates, who wrote in his blog, quote, "The idea of switching to lab-made fats and oils may seem strange at first, but their potential to significantly reduce our carbon footprint is immense."
This is pretty novel to be able to make food that looks and tastes and feels exactly like dairy butter, but with no agriculture whatsoever.
And no long ingredient list the average person can't pronounce.
It's really just our fat, some water, a little bit of lecithin as an emulsifier, and some natural flavor and color.
How? Fats are made up of carbon and hydrogen chains. The goal here? Replicate those chains without animals or plants. And they did it. They tell me to simplify. They take carbon dioxide from the air and hydrogen from water, heat them up and oxidize them. The final result?
It looks like a wax, like a candle wax at first.
But they're fat molecules, like the ones in beef, cheese, or vegetable oils.
Sustainability is why we are here.
It's all done releasing zero greenhouse gases, using no farmland to feed cows.
We're not at full capacity in this facility yet.
And even though we're standing in a factory setting,
And in addition to the carbon footprint being much lower for a process like this, right, the land footprint is 1,000 times lower than what you need in traditional agriculture.
I know what you're thinking.
I think we need to taste it. I would love for you to taste this.
How does it taste?
I love butter, so I'm going to take a really healthy amount.
Admittedly, surprisingly, like butter.
Cheers. Producing butter.
Another reason they say this makes an impact, no palm oil, a significant contributor to deforestation and climate change. So when could you get a taste yourself? Right now, they're working directly with restaurants, bakeries, and food suppliers.
I told you, friends, it was going to be creepy. That's creepy. And what actually creeps me out the most about it is now it makes me not want to go out to eat or go to a bakery. Because if you listen to the woman, oh, it's not available in grocery stores, but it is already being sold to restaurants and bakeries. There should be a law. If you are a bakery or you are a restaurant and you're using that fake butter, first of all, shame on you. Shame on you. Especially if you're not putting it in your menu that we use fake butter. Genetically modified by Gates and friends. And you know how they're putting that MR, Mr. Na, as I say, Mr. N-A. Yeah, spell it out completely. Now they're putting it in dental floss. That's their proposal. Besides putting it in vegetables, they really want to get that stuff into us, don't they? Because they didn't get it into everybody during 2020, and they're really trying to get that into us. That creeps me out. And this butter thing makes me not want to go out to eat. And they should have to divulge that. There should be a law, just like the fake meat that people are reporting all over the place. And the meat that's binded together, which is obviously not real. That should be divulged. Especially when it comes to, again, especially fast food restaurants. I bet you they're the first ones they targeted with the fake butter. So IHOP or places like that. That just popped in my brain, so they probably are ones. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, have you ever heard of the book called Project Mars? Project Mars was written by Wernher von Braun. Do you know who that man is? He's the Nazi scientist that was brought over by the United States to head NASA during Operation Paperclip. You can look it up for yourself. They built a whole little town out here, well, not here, but I think it was Nevada, to bring all those scientists and all over from Germany. Wernher von Braun was one of them. And Wernher von Braun was in charge of the whole NASA thing. Yep, that's him. But this book is kind of creepy, friends. It kind of will remind you of the book I did videos on. You remember the book Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey? That really is creepy. Talks about, Pence in that book and, Big Don, the real estate mogul. The book is written in the late 1800s, and the other one, The Last President, written in 1903, I believe it was. Very creepy books. And Baron's such a rare, odd name. But so is this one too. In that book, written by Werner van Braun, the Mars Project, Project Mars, excuse me. In that book, there's no coincidences, friends. The book speaks for itself, Project Mars. It states that there will be a man who's going to come along and begin this whole mission to Mars Project. Y'all take a good guess what that man's name is in the book. It's kind of like Baron. It's rare. Elon, of course, friends. Elon. Yeah, this book was written, I think, in the 1960s. This man by the name of Elon is going to come along and head this whole mission to Mars. It's such an odd and random name to use, Elon, just like Baron. So, are they time travelers, friends? Are they just creepy reptilians? What do you think? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. The last thing that I'd like to offer to my beautiful tribe and all those watching today is a little affirmation to help you flow into abundance much, much easier, especially if you stress about money or anything like that. Remember, money is an energy. It's a spirit. Just like there's a spirit of the flower, a spirit of the plant, and even a spirit of the crystal, and this crystal, and that spirit. Everything has a spirit, a soul to it. So does money. That spirit of money belongs to a much bigger spirit, the spirit of abundance. So think of money like this, like that friend that you worry about all the time. Is that friend going to want to stop by and visit you when they drive by? No, they're going to avoid going by because you worry about them all the time. Money's the same way. Or, you get a landfall of money, say you win $500 at bingo, and you go and buy everybody else stuff and don't really save any for yourself. Money don't want to hang out with you. Money came to you because it wants to help you, not wants you to give it all away. So money's an energy. It's a vibration. Don't worry about it. Instead, flow with that energy. And here's what you can say every day to help you flow with it. I always have more money than I need. And I cannot help but to attract a lot of money in abundance into my life. I have all the money I need, and I cannot help to attract money in abundance into my life each and every day. Amen. Hallelujah. Say that at least 3 times every day, friends, and it will help you to flow into a better vibration of abundance. And when money comes, you thank the money. It's a spirit. Thank you, money, for flowing into me. Thank you, money, for paying my bills. Thank you, money, for being there to help me pay my cell phone bill or my rent or my mortgage this month. Sounds crazy, but the more you do and the more you acknowledge it, the more that friend, money, is going to want to hang out with you. Well, beautiful tribe, I'm keeping this a bit shorter today. I believe it's a bit shorter. That was the goal anyway. I just put out a prediction video on Friday. If you missed it, be sure to go back and check it out. I am doing the scrying video of predictions. I already did it. But that'll premiere on YouTube and YouTube mainly Friday. Next week, I will have a video premiering on my ayahuasca journey that you're going to want to hear about. It's a wild, friends. I saw the web of darkness that we're all caught up into, and it shows how we could be released from that web of darkness. I literally saw the depths of hell and have an amazing story to share with you. So keep an eye out for those, and then after that, I will be back at the end of the month with your September forecast. So thanks for your love and support. Be sure to sign up for the free newsletter below. Don't forget all the other social media platforms that you can find me on and follow me on, whether it be TikTok, if you like to rock with some TikTok, some Instagram, or Rumble, Spotify. I'm on all those platforms, so check me out down below. And you'll find recommended videos down there as well. And keep an eye out. And if you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you're new here and you want to vibe with the tribe, don't forget to smash the subscribe, the bell, and also you get notifications. Also, do not forget to hit that thumbs up love button, friends, because it really helps this channel. It really helps things to flow. It really, really helps them to flow. And I thank you for that. And thank you for all the love and support. Till the next time, friends, celebrate life, celebrate you. And remember, most importantly, like my sign says over here, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste, friends, and much love. Much love.